But we have a couple of topics that we had seen across the news.
Yeah.
One that's been on for a minute
Yeah.
is the fire that happened on Old Port. I think
Hmm.
it's about uh, almost 2 weeks, no, 2 weeks, about a week and a half so far. And it's really messed up, to be honest. Even surprisingly, because I work near the area, and I had read so much about it. And when I was working recently, I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, it's the building right there." And you can actually see that they have cranes out. It's been like days. So in general, what happened is that it's Old Port in Montreal, and a fire broke out at like three. I think it was like 6 a.m. or something, middle of the
Hmm.
night. A fire broke out, and then inside, a lot of people made it out, but initially 7 people were missing. So you can only assume the 7 people were like stuck inside, right? And so the building is kind of like a very old building, and it was built like in 1890 or 1891 or so. So it's kind of like a historical sort of thing, especially in Old Port. Everything is like historical. Everything has been there since like the a long time. Um, so the fire broke out, and I don't think they know exactly the cause of the fire, but the issue is that of the other aspects about the situation that made it worse. So it turns out for first the building was being rented out or like sublet to people as as Airbnbs. And turns out in all of Old Port, only 10 locations are permitted by the city to do Airbnbs. And I think they kind of drive more towards like tourism and everything. And any other place that do Airbnbs is illegal, right? So
Hmm.
déjà là, there's no one to check up on it. Like nobody really knows it's happening. And although there are locals, people that are saying that the government should put a bit more effort to look out into like these places that are if they're doing Airbnbs. I mean, considering it's Old Port, it's not like the
It's
biggest
none of your
location.
fucking business, bro.
Come on, man, things happen.
Close your window, bro, and drink your coffee in the morning.
You know,
You already
leave
know
alone.
it's old people. They have
And
nothing else to do in their life.
I think that there was
Yeah.
a mix of like again, I don't know who's renting it out, but a lot of people were
Do you want
seeing
to
like the
hear a review of
building.
the location?
Yes.
So this is Jeanette. She didn't want to give her last name.
Hmm.
She says, I visited the place 3 years ago. It was one of the apartments. It was a studio and it was disgusting.
Hmm.
The door didn't close. The bathroom was gross.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Even people were saying that the whole place, c'est comme insalubre. And also they were saying how like it looks really old because I know it's an older building, but the biggest issue is that the landlords or whoever was owning it was not putting the time and money into like keeping it up to par with like today's standards. And one thing is that so when the fire broke out, turns out either there was no fire alarms or the fire alarms were like very faulty, but they weren't working. So imagine you're in a room, and also to tell you that the rooms had like a lot of rooms had like no windows. So
Hmm.
imagine you're like in a full ass square. There's one exit. The fire alarms are working, and there's a fire, and it's getting. The only way you notice that it's on is because like it's gone through under your door, but the fire is in the hallway. So where else are you gonna go? There's
GG.
literally nowhere, right? So,
Hmm.
um, unfortunately, a lot of people end up like like perishing in the fire. So far, they've found four of the bodies out of the seven that were initially missing, and then 3 people were still missing, but they're still like in the rubble. And since it's like a historical building, the officials are kind of like they're breaking apart the building one by one. So they kind of took out the stones from the outside one by one, and they really kind of have to fuck up the inside, to really look through. Anyways, the inside is like burnt, and then when they're done, they'll be able to kind of restore the outside to what it used to look like.
Hmm.
But again, but for sure, the priority is to get people out. They don't really care so much about the cobblestones and like the rocks, maybe the le monde. But it's pretty messed up, honestly. Just because people are just, and then even at the owner, he was trying to put blame to other people, be like, well, other people are like doing Airbnbs and everything without his permission. And we know that at the end of the day, if you're the owner of the building, it's for you to check up on these things. So people are
Hmm.
like dying for like no reason, right?
But owners don't give a fuck. Like
They
certain owners
don't.
don't give a fuck. Like, for
No.
example,
Hmm.
it's funny. Like I have a personal story about this. So
Hmm.
my landlord.
Hmm.
So one time, like I was in my studio. I was working. I was making some music, and the fire alarm just goes crazy and just like did did like super strong. And I'm like,
Hmm.
bro, what the fuck? So I look out, check in the hallway,
Hmm.
sniff this. I don't smell no smoke,
Hmm.
and everybody else like nobody's getting out, like freaking out. So I'm like, okay, so the fuck is going on? And I saw a
Hmm.
couple people waiting outside. like
Mhm.
people who live in the same building as me.
Mhm.
So I stepped outside and we started talking. I was like, "Yo, like, why the fuck is the fire alarm going?" And they're like, "Oh, it's probably like some crazy like explanation." And basically, find out that this happens like on a regular basis. That the fire alarm just go crazy because like the apartments on the last floor, they have some sort of uh like structural damage to it. Or
Okay.
like there's like water creaking in and it just fucks with the whole alarm system.
Yeah.
And the owner, instead of fixing the issue that's causing the alarm to go crazy,
Mhm.
he what he did, which was insane, he disconnected the fire alarm from being connected to the fire station.
Bring
So
in.
like
He's smart.
it would go crazy, but he
You
would
wouldn't hear
never
it.
be notified, and the fire
Department wouldn't.
would never know.
Oh, see, but he has big bring energy.
And
That's
crazy thing
smart.
is, like, I remember before I found out this information, I'm
Uh-huh.
just like chilling and like the fire alarm go crazy. I'm like, bro, the fire department is literally one light away from. So I was
Literally.
like, you motherfuckers are slow as fuck. Like you could have walked here by the time
Yo,
like this alarm
if you
kicked in.
step out of your your building, I can see the fire station. This is
Mhm.
how close it is. Like it's literally a 3 minute walk.
So that's when I found out like
Yeah.
it's not hooked
Wow.
to the fire department. And like a couple of weeks back, they're like they came installing like new fire detectors and
Yeah.
stuff.
For sure, you got a
And then in my
fine or
head, I'm
something.
like,
Yeah.
but this bitch isn't even connected. Like this is all like just
Mhm.
for show. Like
But no, but I mean, see, but that's the thing because landlords, and I mean, we have there's so many cases where you see landlords being cheap. People, let's say they have like bugs in the house, and landlord doesn't want to put the money into like an exterminator. But I don't understand because the landlords, for sure, they're like people like us. They make money. They have to pay their bills,
it's
but
because
they get everybody's rents every month, so they must have like a bit of extra income. I
one
don't
hundred
know.
percent, one hundred
Yeah.
percent, and the person has this building for like years, so like his stuff is already paid off. Like this
Yeah,
is like
exactly, right? And
straight income.
a lot of people have like three buildings and they're doing the same
But the way
thing. Yeah.
the housing market or like the renting market is right now
Hmm.
is like, si t'es pas content, va-t'en, and then I'll
Hmm.
find somebody else and
Hmm.
I'll charge them $300 more than what you're charging now.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's a win-win. You're
Hmm.
unhappy and you leave. Well, I'll find another tenant.
And then
I'm
add
gonna charge
more.
him more,
Yeah.
and he's gonna stay
Yeah.
because the other person couldn't find an apartment.
No, I get that. But it's like, but it's ridiculous. It's like people rather save money rather than and put people's lives at risk, instead of like,
One
doing
hundred
proper
percent.
procedure. And I feel like long term, might as well just solve all of these issues because long term, this is gonna come and bite you in the ass. The new alarms that they set up for you. I feel like, 'cause I think the ambulance that end up coming eventually, no?
No,
Or no?
no.
Yo, can
So
you
like
go and snitch?
somebody called the landlord and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be on my way."
Je dis, je snitch. J'allais, je snitch pour
Listen,
toi.
he's not increasing the rent by much. You know what I'm saying? If I would have gotten like $100 increase, I'd be like, "Yo,
Yeah.
I know the motherfucker ain't hooked up.
Yeah, but it's still like
I can call the
so.
city."
It's still very messed up to know that. Okay, so if there's a fire in your apartment, if we burn something, it's not gonna go off, or that you
No,
know,
it's gonna go off. It's
okay,
just we'll have to call 911
ourselves,
because it wouldn't be connecting to the fire department.
bro. This is ridiculous, honestly. And also that also the weird thing is like you're paying for all these extra services because that's what you're paying for in your rent, and then you can't even get like the bare minimum of like an ambulance coming to your place if there's a fire.
Yeah.
See,
But going back to the story, it's
or
fucked up that like they're
yeah,
still looking for like people,
yeah,
which is crazy. But it's insane to me that like it's taking this long.
but
Because you were
yeah.
saying because they're like taking brick by brick to like put the building
No,
back or something
no,
like
that
that.
was just the outside, right? So I think they already let's say they already made a hole. So the bricks are already out. So I think it's just them going inside.
Mm.
But I'm assuming, like, remember I was saying how some rooms had no windows. So I can imagine the desperation of some people. They were like running to all corners of the building trying to get out to a home. So
Mhm.
some people just they might have ended up in like random corners. And they're like, oh, how did this person end up here? So I heard even like this man kind of jumped out of the window because it was like so bad.
Yeah, but
But I mean,
Sherman.
he was lucky enough to find a window. Like, imagine it, like, and inside it was like horrible because I heard this man, he was saying like, his granddaughter was in there, and he had received a call from her saying like the building is burning and I don't know what to do. There's no windows, and then the line kind of cut off, and then I don't know they officially found her, but she was in the building at the time of the fire, and she did go missing. So no, it's really messed up. And again, even the Airbnbs, like I said, they were completely illegal. And then, so a lot of people are like, going to the government asking, like, maybe they should be putting more, resources into like busting out of all of these. Because I know a lot of cities in the world, or places in the world, they really look into that. Because je me dis, c'est le vieux port, you know, it's not like a random spot in the city. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, people are doing like sketch stuff, like Airbnbs in Old Port. I feel like it's not that big, so I feel like it doesn't take that much to have a person kind of check up these things every now and then. Because then they would have avoided this. Because if it was registered by Airbnb officially, I mean, like by the city, then the city would have done like proper, like, you know, check to see the maintenance. And then,
Il aurait rien fait, man.
I mean, you know, I think they would have done a lot more than this man, for sure. This man, I think, the thing is like horrible. And you know, and you can't blame people for living in there because, you know, again, the housing market is very hard for people to find places for, like, I think the price was like kind of low. Some people were saying, and it worked with their budget, man. You know, see, even here it says Quebec's tourism minister meets with Airbnb to tackle illegal
Les gars
rentals.
vont rien faire, man.
Yo,
Les gars,
you gotta work harder.
they just speaking headlines.
No, gotta work harder because
Politics is
pretty messed
trash.
up.
It's
It's
trash.
messed up.
Which is
Very
great,
sad.
it's a great segue, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fucked up.
yeah.
Like, I
Also,
hope
yeah.
I feel bad for the people that are affected by this.
Yeah, and the families and
You
everything.
know,
You know.
like the actual victims of this. Like, obviously, it's super sad. It's people who I can't imagine like knowing that your loved one is in a situation like this and
Mhm.
then having no resolution for so long, and then you
Yeah.
see this going in the news cycle wherever you
Yeah.
go, you see it and you don't have an answer. Like, what happened? Where are my relatives or the people that I love?
Yeah.
So I can't imagine like how fucked up they must feel.
Mm-hmm. Yo, I say
You know,
sue the city, man. Sue the city. Get millions of dollars in reparation. And even then, even no money is enough to replace like a loved one, right? It's really passed because of like certain situation like this. But
hire Kyle's dad.
how's that? Who's how's that?
South Park. I just watched
Oh,
an
oh,
episode
oh,
where they were suing the school
oh, okay.
because like
So
they were like sexual harassing each other.
damn.
Out of
Okay.
context, South Park is like the most
Yes.
fucked up thing you can watch.
But you know, hopefully the families get some sort of restitution. Restitution.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously,
But
you
no, it's
know,
messed up, honestly.
for sure,
Hopefully, yeah.
sure, you know it's not gonna be a happy resolution, but just
Mhm.
some sort of. Because I mean, I feel like at this point, if they're, you know, I'm not gonna go into that. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna.
Boy, I just hope that they find
backtrauma.
out the bodies and they're able, if people want to bury the bodies and everything, they're able to have that.
Exactly.
So at
Exactly.
least I have peace with that as at least. Mais moi, je veux dire, on va
Exactly.
laisser ça en paix, là, mais, you know,
It's definitely fucked up.
yeah.
When you were playing that record, what were you thinking?